Live from the broadcast center in Los Angeles, this is KCAL 9 News at 8.
Shots fired! Downtown, multiple shots fired!
It's another sad day in our nation.
Tonight, a nation in crisis and in mourning.
We're going to have to get ready mentally for 20 funerals.
After 13 hours of bloodshed in 2 states. In El Paso, Texas, at least 20 people killed at a packed Walmart.
Somebody needs to tell me where she is. I want to know if she's dead or alive or if she's still in Walmart.
Then overnight, a gunman in body armor wielding an assault rifle opens fire in downtown Dayton, Ohio, killing 9 people.
Now, a renewed call to action.
We give them offer prayers and consolation to the families, but obviously that's not enough.
I've called on Senator McConnell to bring the Senate back into session. We can pass that in one afternoon.
Hate has no place in our country, and we're going to take care of it.
As many wonder where the next mass shooting in America will happen and what will actually be done to keep these weapons of war out of the wrong hands.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Holmstrom.
Hello, I'm Sarah Downchey. Now at 8 o'clock on KCAL 9 News and streaming on CBSN Los Angeles, one of the deadliest weeks of gun violence in modern U.S. history. Within 6 days, mass shootings here in California, in Texas, and Ohio have killed at least 32 people and hurt 54.
And dual memorials were held in El Paso and Dayton to remember the 29 people killed in separate mass shootings in both states.
Here's a look at the White House, where President Trump has ordered flags to half-staff in remembrance of those killed this weekend in El Paso and in Dayton.
And we have KCAL 9 team coverage for you tonight. We start with Jeff Nguyen live in the newsroom. Jeff?
Chris and Sarah, tonight police say that the suspect and his sister drove to the entertainment district of Dayton together. Then they separated before she apparently became one of his victims. In a move towards transparency, police released a video of the deadly rampage in Dayton, Ohio.
Multiple shots fired! Downtown, multiple shots fired!
Security video captured people running for their lives from a young man intent on murder.
8:30 dispatch. We got shots fired. We got multiple people down.
It was just after 1 a.m. as people were leaving bars and clubs during what should have been a fun night.
I ain't gonna never get those sounds out of my head of just the gunshots. And then the people screaming and the trampling and just the fear. The shooter has been identified as 24-year-old Connor Betts, seen here in this Facebook photo. Police released this video of the moment officers faced off with him and shot him to death. They revealed the high-powered gun he used, along with the magazines that carried hundreds of rounds of ammunition.
Had this individual made it through the doorway of Ned Pepper's, with that level of weaponry, there would have been a catastrophic injury and loss of life.
That's because officers confronted Betts within 30 seconds after he fired his first shot. Police say he was wearing a mask along with an armored vest.
Right now, I got one unconscious. He's been grazed in the head.
In all, 9 people were killed, including the suspect's own sister, Megan. The victims ranged from their mid-20s to age 57. Most were African Americans gunned down on the street or sidewalk. 27 others were injured.
People just started running. They started pushing us out the back door.
Brad Howard knew Betts for 20 years.
The Connor Betts that I knew was a nice kid. The Connor Betts that I talked to, I always got along with well.
But other classmates at his high school say Betts was known to have carried around an infamous list.
The list that he made, my freshman year, I saw him get pulled off the bus after school one day. And apparently he had made a kill list, and I happened to be on it. I don't know why.
At a vigil tonight for those victims, things got heated. Take a look.
There will be time to take action, but let us come together as a community as we work to heal.
There were visible signs of outrage at this vigil. Mourners chanted and called for change as they remembered the 9 people who were shot and killed. And so far, police say they do not have a motive for this shooting rampage. Chris and Sarah, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Well, today President Trump offered his condolences to the victims of this weekend's shootings.
The president is now saying the government will do all it can to stop these deadly tragedies.
Hate has no place in our country, and we're going to take care of it. We're talking to a lot of people And a lot of things are in the works and a lot of good things. And we have done much more than most administrations, but perhaps more has to be done. But this is also a mental illness problem. If you look at both of these cases, this is mental illness. These are really people that are very, very seriously mentally ill.
President Trump said he'd make another statement tomorrow morning. It comes as a growing list of lawmakers are also responding to the deadly El Paso shooting. Camila Bernal continues our team coverage.
Lawmakers from across the country weighing in on the tragic shooting at a Texas Walmart.
I'm seeing extraordinarily courageous people who have suffered the most grievous wounds and who have also learned that it wasn't just one family member, it was 2 or 3 or more who were shot, and in some cases who were killed.
Former El Paso Congressman and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate hopeful Beto O'Rourke rushed home from Las Vegas Saturday following news of a mass shooting in his hometown. President Trump also weighing in via Twitter, calling the shooter's actions cowardice and condemning the hateful act. Just before 11 a.m. local time, police say a 21-year-old white man opened fire as he walked into an El Paso, Texas Walmart, killing and maiming as he made his way from aisle to aisle.
We had 11 patients come to us yesterday. They ranged in age from 35 to 82 years old.
3 sources say the suspected gunman is from Allen, Texas, some 600 miles away. Police say the suspect surrendered to authorities without incident. Authorities saying the suspect is expected to face capital murder charges and possibly hate crime charges.
The state of Texas is going to work side by side with the city of El Paso and with all of these victims.
In El Paso, Texas, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
The LA County Sheriff's Department tweeted this picture saying LASD sends prayers to the victims and families that have been struck by these horrific and senseless shootings this weekend. No words can describe the sadness that an entire country can feel when domestic terrorism strikes.
And the LA County Fire Department tweeted this photo saying, "Our deepest condolences, love and support to Gilroy, El Paso and Dayton. Our prayers and thoughts are with the families and communities affected by these devastating tragedies." The LA County Fire Department's peer support teams are reaching out to assist first responders.
Also, the LAPD tweeted this hours after the tragedy in El Paso. We are now faced with another horrific mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio. We cannot become numb to the senseless gun violence. As we mourn with our nation, we also continue to work, communicating and learning details from our law enforcement partners. At the Vatican, Pope Francis offered prayers for victims of both. The Pope addressed pilgrims in St. Peter's Square today. He said he was spiritually close to the victims and urged people to try to pray for those who lost their lives, the injured, and their loved ones.
And also, hate crimes across the country, they are on the rise, and it is causing great concern. A new report shows it's at its highest rate in a decade. KCAL 9's Greg Mills continues our team coverage on the deadly mass shootings with a look at a new study.
That report was done right here in Southern California, and it doesn't hold good news for Los Angeles or the rest of the country. Many of us are still trying to deal with the horrific images so fresh in our minds.
No, it's very sad, not dealing with it. That's too much. I just tried to block it out, honestly.
El Paso, Dayton, Gilroy, more than 30 innocent people killed.
White supremacist homicides are now up the last few years. The terrorist hate crimes, we've seen them spike.
Hate crimes here in Los Angeles up 14% this year compared to last year. People we spoke with weren't surprised.
It's sadly the truth, yeah, sad.
It's really dredging up what some people just already have in their heart. It's hate.
Hate crimes are also up across America.
Right today, have more extremist homicides in the United States than we did for all of last year.
Cal State San Bernardino professor Brian Levin headed up the report on hate and extremism in the U.S.
The report shows that we're in an era of concern.
He shared the report with Congress. It shows hate crimes were at their highest rate in a decade in many of our country's biggest cities last year,
including Los Angeles.
Here in Los Angeles, anti-black hate crimes topped that list, then anti-gay, anti-Jewish, anti-Latino.
We've seen an increase in anti-Semitic and anti-Latino.
The El Paso murders followed a hate-filled anti-immigrant manifesto which was posted online. The accused 21-year-old gunman fits a profile of recent mass murders.
Many of them without criminal records, many of them from relatively stable families. But they have angers, fears, and frustration.
Levin says research shows hate crimes spike around political events.
November 2016, election month, that was the worst month in 14 years.
It's not just presidential elections. He says other impactful political events also can cause a spike. In downtown Los Angeles, Greg Mills, KCAL 9 News.
And it was just 1 week ago we were in continuous breaking news coverage of the Gilroy Garlic Festival shooting. Last Sunday, 3 people were killed, 12 others were hurt in that shooting spree. Stay with KCAL 9 News, KCAL9.com, and CBSN Los Angeles for continuing coverage of these mass shootings. We will have the latest developments as they happen on air, online, and on your mobile device.
Now, another developing story we're watching. Crews were able to gain some ground on the 5 fire in Castaic. At last check, the 150-acre fire was about 80% contained, and crews hope to have it fully doused by the end of the night. Well, the heat and dry conditions, they're combining to make it feel like a tinderbox out there. Take a look, a live look at downtown LA, LAX, also Long Beach, where it's been another scorching hot day. But along the coast, the marine layer moved in, cooled off the area. So is this a sign for things to come? Let's check in with Alex Bisson in the Weather Center. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, we are going to see cooler temperatures as we head towards the middle and end of the week. But to start our work week, well, hot temperatures, especially inland. So Ontario, currently we are talking lower 80s, winds out of the southwest at around 11 miles an hour. So a little breezy out there, but winds calming down. The good news, no wind advisories in effect at this time. But take a look at the temperature spread across Southern California. So along the coast, seeing some low clouds and fog, and temperatures, well, cooler because of it. Oxnard and LAX both looking in the lower 60s currently. As we head inland, though, temperatures in the 70s, 80s, even some areas still in the 90s, lower 90s out towards San Bernardino, as well as the Santa Clarita Valley. So heat, really the big story as we head into the start of the work week. We have heat advisories, excessive heat warnings in place until tomorrow at 8 p.m. So tomorrow, here's what you can expect as far as temperatures. Triple digits for the valleys, Inland Empire, and the high desert communities. A lot of sunshine inland, some fog along the coastal communities, and temperatures a lot cooler as well, lower 70s. But all areas will feel a nice cool down by the middle and end of the week. Those details in a few minutes. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Alex. The community where a fallen LAPD officer grew up is trying to make sure he will never be forgotten.
Yeah, there was a huge turnout for that vigil. I'm Chrissy Fajardo, live in Lincoln Heights. Coming up, why so many felt the need to be here.
And we'll follow that breaking news all night long. 2 U.S. cities united by tragedy. The latest developments on the mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton that has left dozens dead.